Hi, everyone, and welcome to our today's session where we are going to be looking at how to start a nonprofit organization. And as you can see, today is going to be our part one of this series that I'm going to be covering in the next few weeks. For those who do not know me, my name is Lucy Njue, and my mission is to help founders and professionals working for nonprofits to attract and retain donors by equipping them with grant writing skills and simple, easy to use and affordable fundraising resources so that you can be able to grow your organization and transform more lives. So if you are new here, feel very much welcome. Those who have been listening to me for a while now, you know I'm very big on asking you to start doing what you want to do, because the secret to getting ahead is getting started, as we all know. So I want to urge you to stop overthinking. If you really want to start a nonprofit organization, there's really nothing much to start thinking about. What you need to do is just start. And what I mean by that is start offering services that are going to help you start meeting or achieving your mission. Even before you get registered, is that you start getting to understand how things work on the ground. You start creating relationships, you start creating networks with the community. And then once you have you have done something, then it even becomes easier for you to be able to identify the people you can work with and start running your organization. So my aunt is just start by offering some services, keep going as you do the official registrations. But even before you start, the registration process, there are some things that I think are very important for us to think about. One of those things that you need to think about, one is the need. You need to understand what is the problem that you want to address. So it's important that you take some time to research and to understand the root causes and the consequences and all the influencing factors that you want to address through your nonprofit organization. This is important because what happens is at times we see a problem in the community. Maybe it's you think or you find there may be children who are not able to maybe meet their daily requirements, and by that I mean maybe their nutritional requirements. And so you have this urge to help them maybe through a feeding program, but then we do not take a lot of time to understand this problem. Remember, this problem, you'll find there is always a cost to it, and the costs can be very, very, broad. So it is important for you to understand, even as I come in to support this program, what causes, because at the end of the day, we do not want to just come and, do things on the service. You want to address root causes. You want to make sure that your interventions go beyond just, sorting out a problem in a short-term manner. With the nonprofit, the idea is to achieve a certain mission. And that means you have to be able, you need to address the root causes. You need to understand what are the consequences of, the problem that you're talking about. So then you also understand what impact are you able to, achieve through your interventions. So think around the problem, go to the community, talk to different people, collect some data from the stakeholders, talk to the community leaders, talk to the people who are affected by the problem, and also seek to find out even how would they wish to be assisted. So for nonprofit, it is important that you understand the need. The people who are affected by your problem. Remember, like I keep saying, you cannot solve all the problems within the community. So you have to be specific on what problem you want to address. And also within that problem, what specific causes or what specific aspects do you want to address? And so let me give you just an example just to make it more clear for everyone. So say, for example, you want to address malnutrition problem because maybe the GAM, or what we call the global acute malnutrition rates in a certain community, are very high. So before you think around exactly what you're going to do, First, you want to analyze what causes malnutrition in this community. And of course, the causes of malnutrition are very many. And there will be causes as a result of the social-cultural factors. Maybe people do not believe in certain food that they should be eaten by children, and maybe and that's an important factor for you to understand. Could be because of lack of knowledge among the community, maybe the literacy levels, that you see that brings an angle of education. Could be because the health facilities where the nutrition services are offered, then they are not accessible. Maybe they are very far, long distances to the health facilities. That could be another reason. And so, the reasons are different. When you are designing your project, therefore, you want to understand, what problem am I able to address? Am I able to address the problem of probably the facilities are very far, so you want to think around how you can do maybe outreaches to bring the services near to the health, near the community for ease of access? Or do you even want to address it from an angle of the health facilities do not have nutritionists, or they do not have the capacity to offer the nutrition services? That would be a different type of a project. You could decide you want to address it from a socio-cultural perspective, where you're helping people to understand how they can consume their local foods, how they can improve their nutrition by changing how they prepare the foods, how they handle food. And so as a project, it is important to understand your problem well, very well, clearly, and then be specific on what exactly do you want to do. Other thing you need to think about is now your solution. And it's always easy to come up with a solution once you understand the problem you're going to address. So for the strategies, again, you need to think around, first, what is your mission, as an organization? What exactly do you want to achieve in the long run? What is your vision? Basically, we are saying in the future, what is the picture that you want to achieve? So it's important that you have a big vision or a mission that inspires you, something that keeps you going, and you can read different samples of a mission. You want maybe a hunger-free community. You want every member of the community, maybe in a certain community, to be able to produce their own food. So something that inspires you, you need to think around it, and then come down to now thinking around what strategies or what are your priority areas? What strategies do you want to implement to be able to address your problem? So think around that, take some time before you even register, think around it, write it down if possible. It's always good to write down your thoughts, and that helps you to put things together. The other key thing that many of us miss out is the fundraising strategy. Now, when you start your NGO, many of us think that the minute you start, you register your NGO, money is just going to flow and things are going to be very okay. And your big vision, because we are passionate about our visions, we imagine that everyone hearing our vision and our mission is going to support us. But the reality is that is not the case. And so we may find ourselves, very frustrated, feeling like we are not getting the support that we deserve. But the reality is we have to look at our organizations as non-profits from an angle also of a business, a business plan. You need to think about how exactly are you going to fund your work, to raise resources. What are you going to do? Are you going to be holding annual events? We have seen people do annual events. Every year you have a marathon, or every year you have a dinner or something. So what approaches are you going to use? Are you going to be seeking individual donations, maybe from your group of people or your friends or your family? Are you going to be asking your board to contribute? Or is it membership? You could put it like people to join your organization and they have to pay a certain amount of money, and you've seen such organizations do exist. But the point here is you have to think about your fundraising strategies and where you're going to get the resources, because it's not sustainable for you to say, we will just register and maybe you're going to use a little bit of what you have, and you'll find yourself not moving any far if you do not have solid strategies from the word go. So let's think like business, like a business. Let's think around our business plans. How are we going to raise resources? how are we going to ensure that we are sustainable? It may not have be very solid at the start, but the plan needs to be there. In fact, when you are doing your application for, registering your NGO or even CBO or whatever form that you want, you'll find that you'll be asked to state the sources of your money. And actually, you are required, for example, for NGO, you're required to submit a 1-year budget. So that means you need to have thought around, what activities you're going to do in the first 1 year and where the money will come from. So do not just assume money will flow. It takes handwork. And many of us think around grants. Now, grants is one of the most common sources of funding for NGOs and for nonprofits. But for startups, grants are very difficult to access because grants are very competitive. And therefore, you're competing with people who have been, in the space for a long time. So your chances are significantly reduced. And therefore, grants are not the best, it's not the best strategy for a startup organization because you do not have a portfolio to show, there's nothing much. You cannot demonstrate that your capacity is much. You cannot, you may not even have annual reports to show. So, and that's why I advise people the importance of, leveraging on the local resources. And you can check one of my videos I've done in the past about how you can actually take advantage of the local resources within our communities to help us start off our organizations. So please remember that. And of course, the other key thing that you need to think around is what vehicle or how are you going to register your organization? Is it going to be a community-based organization? Is it going to be an NGO, the non-governmental organization? Is it going to be a society, a trust, or even a company limited by guarantee? So I've noted many of us think that the only way we can offer or we can be a non-profit organization is when we are a registered NGO. But actually, in Kenya, to be specific, there are many different types of non-profit organizations, as I've listed for you there. So it's important for you to go back and study and see which is the best, legal entity for you to help to start with and to help you start delivering your work. For those who would want to learn so much more about the basics of fundraising, I have written a book where I share in details some of the simple steps that you can take to kickstart your fundraising journey. I just want to encourage you, there are some things that you are struggling with that can easily be answered by this book. It goes for Kenya shillings 500 only. So please take your copy and get started. And I will also be sharing the link where you can easily get the copy. And for those who would want to learn so much more about how to write award-winning proposals, I have a detailed program, self-paced online program, where you can, where we get to learn about the different components of a proposal, and most importantly, how to develop them, the language to use, what must be, what is attractive to the donors, and all that. And so, yeah, for more, you can check out my website, www.lucynjoy.com. Thank you very much for staying with me.